So now we need to read the results from the query and check if the credentials are in the table. And before we do, I just kind of want to clarify what we were kind of skipping over earlier. And so this was our code, and I come over here and I type in ASDF, ASTF, and I hit submit. And I get this kind of cryptic message that says there's a warning, but I actually want the error, right? So every time you run a MySQLi query, you should print out the error. And so how can we do it? We could say or, right? Or die with MySQLi underscore error. And inside you're going to say $link, okay? So what that's going to do is going to print out the exact error message. So I'm going to come over here and refresh. And now we get the error message. There's an error in your SQL syntax. It's right near cookie clicker where ASDF equals username and ASDF equals password. So what is the problem there? So right here, this field here should not be the database name, right? What that field is looking for is the table name that we created earlier, right? So the database name is cookie clicker. The table that's in the database is cookie underscore app. Right. The database name is needed when you connect to the database, but when you run this query, you need to specify which table you want to look in to check if these conditions are true. Right. So here I'm going to erase that. I want to say cookie underscore app, the name of the table. And now I think I should be okay. So let's come back over here, ASDF, hit enter. So now it says unknown column username in the field list. So you can see here, I'm saying basically in English, where the username that the user typed in on the form is equal to the username field in the database. And if you notice here, our username field is not called username, it's called user. And our password field is not called password, it's called pass. So we have a incongruency there. So I'm going to replace this with username, and I'm going to replace this with pass, and now we should be one step closer. So we'll say ASDF, hit enter, unknown username in the field list. I'm not sure where it's getting. Oh, okay, it's getting it right here. So I'm going to replace that with user. And I will come back and I'll say ASDF and hit enter, and here we go, right? A blank screen. And that is good, because if it would have errored, if this would have failed and not successfully run, then we would have died and got an error message, okay? But we didn't. And so what do we do next? Well, the return value of MySQLi query is a SQL object, I believe it's what it's called. Let's see, what are these guys called? Yeah, returns a MySQLi query result object. Okay, so if you remember from earlier, what we're going to be receiving back from the SQL query is basically an Excel spreadsheet with data, right? And specifically with the ID, username, and pass. Sometimes this Excel spreadsheet is going to be a spreadsheet with zero rows, right? For instance, if I search for one where this is not true or this is not true, then this whole thing is going to give me back an Excel spreadsheet with zero rows. Another instance is where we get one row, and that's where this is true and that's true, and the result of that, looking through the data, matches up with one single row, right? Sometimes you'll get it where this is true and that's true, or this condition, the where condition, is true for many rows, and in that case it will return back a healthy spreadsheet with lots of rows in it. But this MySQLi query doesn't return the actual array. It returns an object of type MySQLi query. Okay, and we save that in result, in the variable result. Now it's not turned into an array until we run MySQLi fetch underscore array, and we give it the MySQL underscore query object. Okay, so until we do this, we do not get the array. And then it takes all that data and it stores it in this array here, right? And so if I say $_R0, that's the first row in the SQL, the Excel spreadsheet type of data that was given back here, right? And then if I do sub1, that means that's the second row that was returned from this query, and so on and so on, right? So yeah, that's where we're at. And let's see, what are we supposed to be doing here? Read the results and check if the credentials are in the table. Okay, so I think we did that, right? Basically we ran this and it checks if it's in the table, and I guess now we could print, or we can echo $R. Let's see if that's going to work out for us. So we'll come back over here, go back one space, ASDF, array to string conversion, we can't do that. Okay, so maybe we can do sub0, and we get 1. Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe we could print out the actual username by doing this. No, that's not possible. ASDF. Okay, there we go. So we can get the username field by putting in the name of the field in the double quotes of the array, right? And if we wanted the pass, we could do that. And so there we go, man. We got an element from the database, and we're now back here on the PHP side, and we're able to play around with it. Okay, and that's what we're going to do in the next video.